Coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios, this is Prime News on SABC 3 and in your top stories at this hour.
The first and only time that we are looking into allegations against Mr. Matlala relates to the 360 million rand tender that was awarded and then subsequently cancelled sometime this year.
First up, the head of the Independent Directorate for Anti-Corruption Advocate, Agrizzi Johnson, came under sharp scrutiny from the ad hoc committee over the handling of a 360 million rand tender linked to businessman Vusumuzi Cat Matlala.
Brigadier Mkhwanazi, with the support of the city manager, that is Dr. Imogen Mashazi, has over the years brazenly disregarded my authority as the Chief of Police of EMPD.
Meanwhile, the Matlanga Commission has heard that the acting EMPD Chief Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi allegedly has a blatant disregard for his superior, who is now the now suspended Chief of Police Jabulani Isaac Mapiyeye. The High Court in Pretoria has handed the former Bosasa Chief Operations Officer Angelo Agrizzi an effective 10-year prison sentence after convicting him on 4 counts of corruption. And SABC News has reliably learned that a South African was involved in recruiting 17 South Africans to fight in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. From the corridors of power to the streets of our cities, we bring you the stories that define our times. Good evening and welcome to Prime News on SABC 3. My name is Beki Mutumbulete, your host for this evening. Let's get straight into our leads, and here they are. In Parliament today, Advocate Agrizzi Johnson, head of the Independent Directorate for Anti-Corruption, came under sharp scrutiny from the ad hoc committee over the handling of a 360 million rand tender linked to businessman Vusumuzi Cat Matlala. Committee members criticized IDAC for failing to thoroughly vet Matlala's contracts, raising concerns about the lack of checks and balances in the procurement process.
The Directorate's action, Johnson underscored the importance of rigorous threat assessments, a standard consistently emphasized by the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, or DPCI, which focuses on organized crime.
Did engage with General Mkhwanazi in my time as IDAC when these investigations of the matters that were referred to IDAC by Mr. Adams, out of habit. What one does is when investigators go into a province and they are going to see police personnel, you will inform the police commissioner, provincial commissioner, as do prosecutors when they appear in a jurisdiction of a director of public prosecutions. So investigators would inform General Mkhwanazi that they were in his province.
EFF leader Julius Malema pressed Johnson on why tenders were awarded to Matlala without proper scrutiny, questioning the oversight mechanism in place.
So the first and only time that we are looking into allegations against Mr. Matlala relates to the 360 million rand tender that was awarded and then subsequently cancelled sometime this year. So there haven't been criminal investigations into him as a service provider. We have criminal investigations against SAPS members and other service providers where the supply chain management processes were circumvented and corruption or fraud or PFMA contraventions took place.
Outline IDAC's internal processes, explaining that once both investigation and prosecution teams complete their inquiries, all documentation is submitted to her office for review. She emphasized that a referral does not automatically lead to prosecution and that each case must be assessed on its merits. Parliament prepares for the next sitting. Johnson's testimony has reignited debate on oversight in high-value procurement cases.
Meanwhile, the Madlanga Commission investigating the same allegations has heard that the acting EMPD Chief Brigadier, Julius Mkhwanazi, allegedly advanced unlawful acts with CAT VIP Security Services, a private security company owned by alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Cat Matlala. This says Mkhwanazi, who allegedly dished out blue lights to the said company through a signed agreement, which formed part of central evidence before the Commission, highlighting the alleged criminality within the EMPD.
The Madlanga Commission has shifted its lens to the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department through its now suspended Chief of Police, Jabulani Isaac Mapiyeye, who alleges that his deputy, Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi, who is currently acting Chief of Police, had a blatant disregard for his authority.
Brigadier Mkhwanazi, with the support of the city manager, that is Dr. Emojin Mashazi, has over the years brazenly disregarded my authority as the Chief of Police of EMPD. Julius, as a Deputy Chief, was always appointed to act as a Chief of Police whenever I'm absent or on leave. Meanwhile, there were other senior Deputy Chief of Police.
Mkhwanazi is accused of dishing out blue lights to the private security company of Vusimuzi Cat Matlala. Conduct which has been flagged by Mapiyeye as unlawful, as Metro Police cannot intrude on the mandate of the South African Police Services. In addition to the blue light saga, the Commission heard that Mkhwanazi formally roped in CAT VIP Security Services into crime-combating operations, which Mapiyeye dismissed as unlawful.
They do not have legislative powers to do some of the activities which I mentioned above.
Such as?
Such as
the
movement of criminals, tracking suspects,
yes,
and other resources we use when engaging, chasing, and arresting of these highly trained skills and repeat offenders that are not afraid to fight back with police when cornered.
The hearings continue. Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Pretoria.
Crime Intelligence boss Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo's attempt to return to work has been dealt another blow. The Pretoria Magistrates Court postponed Khumalo's application to have his bail conditions relaxed to February next year. The top cop and 6 others are charged with fraud and corruption for allegedly appointing someone without police experience to an executive position within crime intelligence. As part of his bail conditions, Khumalo has been prohibited from entering any crime intelligence premises, office or operational space. He and 2 co-accused applied to relax these conditions specifically so that they can return to work after an internal SAPS process exonerated them. The court postponed the matter to the 13th of February next year. Khumalo completed his testimony before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry yesterday. He previously gave evidence that alleges that his arrest is part of efforts to derail the investigations of the Political Killings Task Team that successfully nabbed alleged cartel members Katiso Katie Molefe and Vusimuzi Cat Matlala. We now move on to the following. President Cyril Ramaphosa has vowed to take action against employers who hire illegal immigrants, as it is an offense. Ramaphosa says dealing decisively with illegal immigration is a priority. He's added that standardizing the immigration status of those in the country helps to protect them from exploitation.
Who employ undocumented migrants will be dealt with. And they now need to know more clearly and firmly that they will be prosecuted and they will be fined and they could even be arrested because it is an offense to do so. Now, that whole process has also been constrained by the availability of the various inspectors and personnel, but there is now an intergovernmental working together structure that is going to enhance all that. And hence we are now saying to employers, be aware that you will be prosecuted if you employ undocumented people.
Welcome back to Prime News on 3. The High Court in Pretoria has handed the former Bosasa Chief Operations Officer, Angelo Agrizzi, an effective 10-year prison sentence after convicting him on 4 counts of corruption. Although Agrizzi was sentenced to 40 years, 10 years for each count, the terms will run concurrently. The sentence is wholly suspended for 5 years under strict conditions following a plea deal and sentence agreement with the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption. IDAC spokesperson Henry Mamutame confirmed the outcome. In other news, the 8 former VIP protectors of Deputy President Paul Mashadile will still have to answer to charges of assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm and malicious damage to property. The protectors approached the Randburg Magistrates Court asking for their charges to be withdrawn. It is alleged that they assaulted unsuspecting civilians who were driving on the N1 in July 2023.
Seen on this viral video allegedly assaulting civilians back in 2023. Since the incident, they faced at least 5 charges, including assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm, pointing of a firearm, and malicious damage to property, among others. During their application to have their charges thrown out, the 8 insisted that the state has no case against them.
The court is satisfied that the accused, all 8 accused, had acted in common purpose in the assault.
The state maintained that the police officers had the intention to damage the vehicle of the occupants. The magistrate agreed.
As the witnesses testified that the vehicle was damaged and that it was damaged inside and outside the vehicle, as the accused violently searched the vehicle and as indicated by the witnesses. Now, given this evidence, the application for the court is at this stage here is of the opinion that there is evidence against all 8 accused.
The ruling was met with relief by those who have been following the case.
We are very satisfied with the ruling today, even though some of the more minor charges were dropped. We are satisfied that the main charges, the ones that we are concerned about, is continuing.
Neria Shakotsa, SABC News, Randburg.
SABC News has reliably learned that a South African citizen was involved in recruiting 17 citizens to fight in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The South African government has ordered a probe into the circumstances that led to the recruitment of these 17 men in the Ukraine. The men are reportedly trapped in the war-torn Donbas region and are desperate for assistance. 16 of them are believed to be from KwaZulu-Natal and 1 is from the Eastern Cape.
The South African government says it's working through diplomatic channels to secure the return of its citizens who are stuck in Donbas. The president has also strongly condemned the exploitation of young vulnerable people by individuals working with foreign military entities.
Under the Foreign Military Assistance Act of 1998, it is illegal for South African citizens and entities to offer or provide military assistance to foreign governments or participate in armies of foreign governments unless authorized by the South African government.
The Ukrainian ambassador to South Africa, Dr. Alexander Sheba, says they are looking into this matter.
Well, I spent the whole morning calling people with Ukraine's armed forces and asking around whether there is any information about these people, and I can assure you that nobody on our side is aware of any big or small group of South Africans stuck in Donbas. And then after that, I saw today's headlines in Kenya, where 80 Kenyan citizens are in a very similar situation, fighting on Russia's side. And it's confirmed that they are stuck on Russia's side, and they have been offered these lucrative conditions to fight for them, and they want out now.
Meanwhile, the Russian and Ukrainian forces have continued their fierce fighting around the strategic areas in Donetsk. Kyle Kumalo, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Experts say the nearly 2-decade legal battle between network giant Vodacom and its former employee Nkosana Makate over compensation for the Please Call Me invention will bring certainty to the company. Portfolio manager at Mayinzo Asset Management, Tembeka Sobekwa, says while the settlement has been kept confidential, it will likely be in the range of 500 million rand.
At the center of the legal dispute between Vodacom and its former employee Nkosana Makate is the concept of the Please Call Me service, which allows users with no airtime to send a free message requesting a callback. The resolution of the prolonged legal battle is seen as a win for all stakeholders. In a statement, the company said its board and Makate settled the matter out of court. Experts say the settlement will bring certainty to Vodacom.
This litigation has been going on for over 18 years now. So the closure of this litigation provides more certainty around the investment case of the business, and especially does provide more certainty around the quantum of the settlement, and that it won't be as initially expected, which was initially north of 30 billion. So it definitely does give more certainty around the investment case of Vodacom going forward.
Makate has confirmed the matter is settled. The settlement amount has been kept confidential.
Vodacom hasn't disclosed the settlement amount, which already tells us that as per the JSE listing requirements, that it's not a material amount, so it's not going to be more than 1% of their revenue.
SABC News, Johannesburg.
Thank you for staying with us. Wage negotiations have resumed between FlySafair and the SA Cabin Crew Association under the mediation of the CCMA. SACA has threatened to strike, with the union's president saying it was willing to accept the tabled 4-year agreement of between 6% and 7%, but that the employer included some non-financial benefits in the final documents that were not bargained for and that would compromise the lives of the workers.
Remain fully stable with 100% of all of the flights departing on time, and there have been no disruptions. The parties will be back at the CCMA today from about 10 a.m. and the intention is to continue to engage constructively and really put a strong focus on reaching a fair and balanced resolution today. Our commitment is to protect our passengers whilst we work toward a sustainable outcome for all of our staff.
SABC, host broadcaster of the G20 South Africa 2025.
And now let us take a look at the latest market update as at 7:30 this evening. And in your sports news, Bafana coach Hugo Broos says 80% of his squad for next month's African Cup of Nations tournament in Morocco is confirmed. He says the bulk of the squad that qualified Bafana for the AFCON and World Cup tournaments will be retained, but fringe players could still force their way onto the team.
The match against AFCON-bound Zambia is the only confirmed international friendly in the build-up to the continental tournament and falls within the last FIFA international window of the year. It will be played in Gqeberha next Saturday, and Bruce says one warm-up match is sufficient preparation.
Every game with the national team, I ask the players to go for 100%. And I think with all the games they are playing now, that it was better to play only one game and a good game than playing 2 games and having players who suffer of fatigue.
He's not going to tamper too much with the squad because he says now is not the time to start with a rebuilding process.
AFCON is so important that we can't make big changes now.
But Bruce says the door will remain open for any players who impress him ahead of the AFCON. Orlando Pirates midfielder Masindi Nemtangela and Sekhukhune United attacker Keletso Makhalwa are the only uncapped players in the squad for the Zambia match. Sfiso Ramara, SABC News, Johannesburg.
It is now time for us to direct our gaze to our southern skies. Our weather team has all the details. Your forecast is coming up next.
A very good evening to you. Let's take a look at all your weather details. Windy conditions around the Cape Peninsula this evening. Be on the lookout for wind speeds up to 60 kilometers an hour. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies expected through the south and eastern coastline of South Africa. Scattered rainfall for Durban southwards towards Gqeberha. Widespread showers and a watch in place for potential of severe thunderstorms through the eastern escarpment. Be on the lookout for that, as well as a 60% chance of rainfall in the northwest province this evening. Now head towards tomorrow and the start of the weekend. See sunny skies but windy conditions in the Western Cape. Partly cloudy conditions dominating the Garden route eastwards in towards KwaZulu-Natal, where isolated showers are possible. Scattered rainfall through the Free State, Gauteng, in towards the Northwest Province and northern areas of the Northern Cape. Now taking a look at some alerts for this evening. Be on the lookout for severe thunderstorms that stretch right across the Free State, Gauteng, in towards the Northwest Province and the Northern Cape for this evening in towards tomorrow, whilst damaging winds are possible along the Cape Peninsula. That's 60 kilometer an hour winds this evening, up to about 50 kilometers an hour tomorrow afternoon. Cape Town up to 17 degrees this evening, Gqeberha down to 16, Durban 18 overnight, Johannesburg dropping to 13, warming up tomorrow to a maximum of just 18 degrees, thick cloud cover preventing sunshine coming through. Durban up to 22, Gqeberha up to 21 tomorrow, Cape Town hot and sunny at 34. Be on the lookout for the winds though. 40 degrees expected in Vredendal on Friday. And as we take a look at the middle of the weekend, Saturday sees hot temperatures through the northern parts of the Western Cape. Still windy through the northern parts of the Cape Peninsula with some showers now into the forecast. That's a 30% chance of rain, 60% chance of showers and warm temperatures for Uppington in towards Bloemfontein, whilst Johannesburg is expecting a cool weekend under mostly cloudy conditions. That's it from me. Enjoy your evening.
And that is how we wrap up this evening. Thank you for tuning in. We are back with you again tomorrow evening. Until then, from myself, Becky, and the team, stay ahead of the curve. Good night.